He didn't tweet this time just for noise, he thundered a declaration. On July 12, 2025, Donald Trump shook the earth again. With the swipe of a post on Truth Social, he fired a 30% tariff at two of America's most intertwined partners, the European Union and Mexico. It wasn't a negotiation. It was a shot, a war cry. The dollar quivered, Europe gasped, Mexico's eyes widened. And just like that, the world shifted. It wasn't just another day in Washington. It was a statement of power, vengeance, and unapologetic nationalism, the kind of day only Donald Trump could deliver. As the American sun dipped into the horizon, casting golden hues over the White House lawn, a digital storm erupted on screens across the planet. Trump had spoken no. He had declared a tariff of 30% on all goods coming from the European Union and Mexico, effective August 1, 2025. The timing wasn't accidental. The symbolism wasn't subtle, and the message was crystal clear. Trump was not only back, but more defiant than ever. For some, it was deja vu of 2018 steel, aluminum, trade skirmishes. But this was bigger. This wasn't just a slap. It was a punch to the global economic order. He accused Mexico of turning a blind eye to the drug cartels. He condemned the EU for exploiting American goodwill and draining its wealth. They've laughed at us long enough, Trump wrote. It's our turn to stand tall. And just like that, markets fell. Phones rang in Brussels, alarms buzzed in Berlin. And Mexico City called an emergency cabinet session. In Ohio, a former auto factory worker named Mark grinned as he read the news. In Michigan, steel plants buzzed with hope. But in New York, Wall Street shuddered. And in Paris, anger mounted. For Trump, none of it mattered. He wasn't speaking to the world. He was speaking to his base, the Americans who felt left behind by globalism, who lost jobs to cheaper imports, and who had voted him back in January 2025 with a vengeance in their hearts. Trump's second presidency began with fire. His first moves had already rattled allies. NATO was threatened with defunding. The Paris Agreement was scrapped once more. Tariffs returned to center stage. And the infamous America First doctrine wasn't just a slogan anymore. It was now federal law in everything from trade to foreign aid. The world had hoped that age had mellowed him. Instead, it had sharpened him. Mexico's response was swift. President Andrés Manuel López Obrador addressed the nation with a stern face. This is not friendship. This is economic aggression. Truckers blocked border lanes. Exporters panicked. The peso plummeted 9% overnight. Mexican media outlets called it an economic earthquake. Across the Atlantic, European leaders scrambled. Ursula von der Leyen condemned the move. Macron demanded retaliation. Germany's Scholz warned of grave consequences and called Trump a reckless arsonist in a fragile house. But Trump wasn't listening. Let them cry, he wrote. We don't need their champagne. We need American steel. And as that quote blasted across cable news and trending feeds, it was already being printed on shirts and signs in red states. Factories in the Midwest roared their approval. Forgotten counties suddenly felt heard. The forgotten man, Trump said, would be forgotten no more. In historical context, Trump's tariff crusade wasn't new. He had wielded them like swords before. In 2018, it was China. In 2019, it was Canada. But in 2025, it was personal. He believed the EU had mocked him, that Mexico had betrayed him, that the globalists were rooting for his political demise. And now that he was back, he came armed. From a policy standpoint, the tariffs were staggering. 30% on billions of dollars worth of imports. From German cars to Mexican avocados, from French wine to Spanish textiles, nothing was spared. Analysts predicted consumer prices in the U.S. would spike. Inflationary pressure would rise, supply chains would stumble. But in Trump's mind, these were growing pains of a stronger future. Short-term pain, he said. For long-term victory, Congress was torn. Some Republicans cheered, others panicked. Democrats screamed of constitutional overreach, but Trump reminded them that he didn't need their votes. He had the Trade Expansion Act of 1962, national security, he claimed, was being compromised by foreign dependents, and that legal loophole gave him almost unchecked authority. Wall Street, on the other hand, wasn't as pleased. The Dow fell 1,200 points within 48 hours. The Nasdaq dipped 5%. European stocks tumbled. Investors shifted billions into gold and oil, but rural America stayed loyal. Trump visited Iowa and was greeted like a king. "Thank you for standing up," one farmer told him. "We've been crushed by these deals for decades." Meanwhile, in Brussels, retaliatory plans began. The EU drafted new tariffs on American tech, agriculture, and energy. Apple, Tesla, and Microsoft warned of losses. Boeing shipments were halted. The WTO was pulled into the fray, but Trump dismissed them with 4 words. They're part of the scam. And while the global economy teetered, Trump held rallies. He mocked the EU's accent. He joked about Mexico's coyotes. He roared about the dumb deals of past presidents. And his crowds, tens of thousands strong, roared back, Mexico wasn't done. They warned they might cut off border cooperation. Intelligence sharing was paused. A caravan of 7,000 migrants marched north, and Trump ordered the military to the border. "We're under siege," he told Americans. Economic and physical, the language was apocalyptic, the tone warlike. But the message was consistent: America first. Always. As August 1st approached, tension grew. The EU sent envoys to Washington, but Trump refused to meet them. They had their chance, he told Fox News. Now they can beg. Protests erupted in London and Madrid. In Mexico, flags were burned, but at home, the MAGA movement grew stronger. It wasn't just economics. It was identity. It was nationalism reborn. Trump's America wasn't just about jobs, it was about pride, about sovereignty, about defying the rules of a world that had forgotten who built it. And then came the gold card. In late July, Trump unveiled a controversial policy, a gold card immigration program offering fast-track residency to skilled foreigners, but only from countries that respect U.S. trade values. That meant no EU, no Mexico. Instead, it prioritized countries like India, Vietnam, and Brazil. The message was cruelly clear: trade fairly or lose access to America's promise. Liberals called it racist. Human rights groups filed lawsuits. But conservative media celebrated it. Finally, a merit-based system, one host exclaimed. Trump's approval rating hit 53%, a number not seen since 2017. China, always watching, saw opportunity. They invited the EU for economic talks. They offered to buy more European cars. Beijing rolled out the red carpet while Washington raised walls. A new world order was being born, not through war, but through tariffs and tweets. Trump didn't flinch. He doubled down. On July 30th, he announced that Canada would face a 35% tariff unless it renegotiated dairy terms. Trudeau called it economic terrorism. Trump replied with one word: weak. And yet, the GOP was quiet. Terrified of his base, they watched in silence as Trump rewrote the global playbook. Some whispered of impeachment. Others plotted a third-party challenge, but none dared speak too loudly. By August 1st, America stood alone. Stronger, maybe isolated. Definitely, prices had risen, markets were bruised. But Trump's base was energized. He had delivered what he promised: confrontation, chaos, and control. The first week of August was mayhem. EU imposed 20 billion euros. In counter-tariffs, Mexico filed a case at the UN. American tech companies braced for layoffs. But Trump rallied in Florida, smiling. "They need us more than we need them," he said. "They're addicted to our market, and I'm the one holding the plague." Diplomats were horrified, economists were nervous. But Trump supporters wore shirts that said 30% means freedom. The story wasn't ending, it was beginning. This was more than tariffs. It was a global identity crisis. Old alliances were cracking, new powers were rising, and in the center of it all stood Donald J. Trump, louder, bolder, and more determined than ever to reshape the 21st century in his image. As America braces for what comes next, one thing is clear: Trump didn't just raise tariffs. He raised the stakes, and now the world must decide: follow, fight, or fall behind. If you found this story bold, raw, and eye-opening, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to Timeless America, and ring the bell icon for more stories that dive deep into the heart of American power.